It starts with a sound, a sharp mechanical surge that feels more alive than digital, more rebellion than refinement. It's the kind of machine that doesn't whisper progress. It shouts defiance at the future. Every surface seems sculpted for drama. Every movement a reminder that performance is not just about numbers, but about theater. The kind that makes you look twice and remember what passion used to feel like before algorithms and efficiency took over. In an age when silence and restraint are the new luxury, this car refuses to apologize for being loud, bold, and gloriously unnecessary. It is both an artifact and a prophecy, a symbol of how far we've come and how much we still crave the irrational. Because beneath all the carbon fiber and computing power, the question remains, can excess still mean innovation? Stay tuned, hit like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments which icon you want us to uncover next. The Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 arrives with the weight of a legend on its sculpted shoulders, a rebirth of the car that once defined what it meant to be outrageous. To understand how it came to exist, you have to go back to the original Countach, that angular lightning bolt that tore through the 1970s and 1980s with scissor doors, and a shape that made everything else look prehistoric. The new LPI 804 was never meant to replace nostalgia with imitation. It was designed as a bridge between eras, a bold gesture to prove that heritage can evolve without becoming parody. When Lamborghini's engineers and designers began this project, they weren't just trying to make something fast or rare. They were trying to make a statement about identity in a world moving toward silence. The goal was to capture the Countach's sense of theater without turning it into a retro caricature. Every surface of the LPI 804, from its narrow wedge profile to its crisp white paint options inspired by the original, was drawn to evoke memory and modernity in the same glance. Yet, beneath that form, there's something deeper at work. The acknowledgement that the Countach name carries cultural gravity that can't simply be re-engineered. Lamborghini's leadership understood that reviving such an icon would mean facing every expectation that had built up over decades. They had to honor an idea, not just a car. The idea that a supercar should be a rolling contradiction, beautiful yet brutal, visionary yet excessive. The decision to use the Aventador's carbon fiber monocoque and its naturally aspirated V12 wasn't about recycling old parts. It was a philosophical choice. Lamborghini could have gone electric or twin-turbo, but that would have killed the Countach's spirit. The company wanted the LPI 804 to sound, smell, and feel mechanical, even as it hinted at electrified performance. That's why they paired that 6.5-liter V12 with a mild hybrid system, a small electric motor sandwiched between the engine and gearbox, adding just enough torque fill to sharpen throttle response while preserving the emotional roar. In Italian fashion, it's less about efficiency and more about flair. The I in LPI stands for Longitudinale Posteriore Ibrido, a fancy way to say the hybrid system is tucked neatly behind the seats, connected directly to the V12. The result isn't the quiet glide of a Prius. It's the amplified drama of an orchestra warming up before a crescendo. Inside, the Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 continues this blend of reverence and reinvention. The cabin borrows architecture from the Aventador, but the detailing is distinct. Hexagonal patterns, 3D printed vents, and a start button hidden under a red missile-style cover, as if to remind you that this is a machine meant to be launched, not just driven. The seats mimic the original's boxy shapes, but wrapped in modern Alcantara and carbon. The ergonomics, as ever, favor spectacle over comfort. The scissor doors still make entry a performance. This is not a car designed for anonymity or subtlety. It's designed for a kind of audacious ownership, where every gas stop turns into a photo op, and every drive is a headline. Yet, the Countach LPI 804 is not just about looks or nostalgia. Lamborghini's engineers spent years fine-tuning its proportions to ensure it wasn't a museum piece. The stance, the rake, the low-slung nose, everything had to work aerodynamically and emotionally. The company's test drivers noted how the hybrid's instant torque helped make the big V12 feel even more alive at low speeds, transforming what could have been a fragile tribute into something that actually drives like a modern supercar. Still, there were trade-offs. By limiting production to only 112 units, a nod to the internal project code for the original Countach LP1 and 12, Lamborghini ensured exclusivity, but also controversy. Enthusiasts were divided. Was this a genuine resurrection or a calculated collector's item? The answer depends on what you believe a supercar should represent. For some, it's about purity. A raw engine, no hybrid trickery, just gasoline and grit. For others, it's about progression. How do you carry a myth forward without losing its edge? Lamborghini tried to answer both by creating a car that feels old and new at once, an echo from the past projected into the future. Even the lighting signature plays this game. The headlights nod to the pop-up units of the original without replicating them, while the taillights recall the later Countach 25th anniversary's crisp geometry. It's nostalgia reinterpreted through modern materials and proportion. The LPI 804 doesn't apologize for being expensive or exclusive. It flaunts it, because that's the point of the Countach lineage. Owning one isn't about speed, it's about storytelling. Every owner becomes part of a legacy of defiance, from the oil crisis era to the dawn of electrification. But behind the glitz lies a question that haunts every revival. Can something so iconic ever truly be reborn? The Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 answers that by refusing to compete with its ancestor, it complements it, serving as a mirror reflecting both the absurdity and brilliance of human ambition. The original was born in chaos. This one was sculpted with precision. Both, however, exist for the same reason, to make you feel something you can't rationalize. And that's why this story is only getting started. The Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 entered a world where performance had become a numbers game, and supercars were judged by stopwatch data and efficiency graphs. Yet this machine never aimed to win through metrics. It sought to reignite the sense of drama that had been fading from the industry. The Countach LPI 804 was Lamborghini's way of declaring that theater still matters, that a car can stir your emotions as much as your logic. Its 802 combined horsepower wasn't designed to beat a stopwatch. It was crafted to feel like a spectacle. When the Countach LPI 804 was unveiled, the automotive world split down the middle. Some praised it as the ultimate tribute to a masterpiece. Others dismissed it as a reskinned Aventador wearing nostalgia like a tailored suit. Both sides had a point. The LPI 804 borrowed its underpinnings from the Aventador, but what critics missed was intent. Lamborghini didn't want to start from scratch. It wanted to evolve something proven into a symbol. By using the Aventador's structure and hybridized powertrain, the brand ensured the car would perform to modern expectations while freeing its designers to focus on emotion. The Countach was always a car about visual shock, and this new version captured that spirit precisely. In person, it's smaller than you expect, tighter, cleaner, almost architectural. The original Countach screamed excess through flares and wings. The LPI 804 channels it through proportion and poise. Lamborghini's head of design called it a time traveler, and that's exactly how it feels. One wheel in the past, one racing toward the electric horizon. Owners quickly learned that despite the heritage cues, this wasn't a delicate museum piece. The LPI 804 could sprint from 0 to 60 in under 2.8 seconds and reach 221 miles per hour. But what made it captivating wasn't the speed, it was the experience. The steering, though electrically assisted, retained that old-school Lamborghini heft. The hybrid system didn't mute the V12's soundtrack. It amplified it, filling in torque gaps and sharpening throttle transitions. Every drive felt like choreography, V12 fury mixed with digital precision. On winding roads, it danced more gracefully than any Countach before it, yet never lost its stubbornness. It's still wide, still impossible to park, still absurdly low, and that's exactly the point. The Countach has always been a car you fight a little, because that fight is part of the story. Lamborghini built the LPI 804 during a period of deep transformation within its company. Electrification loomed large, regulations were tightening, and the Aventador platform, its mechanical foundation, was nearing retirement. Creating a final act using the Countach name was both a marketing move and a farewell gesture. It gave Lamborghini the chance to close the chapter on pure V12 power with dignity. For enthusiasts, that context makes the car far more meaningful. It's not just a celebration of the past, it's a marker of transition, a frozen moment before the inevitable silence of electrification. The Countach LPI 804 also stirred the aftermarket world. Despite its rarity, tuners and collectors obsessed over it, analyzing every panel, every badge, debating whether it was worthy of the name. But in the process, something interesting happened. The debate itself reignited interest in Lamborghini's heritage models. The old Countach values spiked, Aventadors gained collector status, and discussions about what makes a Lamborghini authentic became mainstream again. In that sense, the LPI 804 didn't just revive a name, It revived a conversation about passion and design. For the US market, the car held special significance. America was one of the largest Countach markets in the 1980s, and its return decades later felt like a nostalgic homecoming. At high-end events from Pebble Beach to Miami, the LPI 804 wasn't just displayed, it was worshipped. Buyers didn't see it as a daily driver. They saw it as an heirloom, a rolling piece of automotive sculpture. That cultural cachet translated into attention beyond the supercar niche. Even people who couldn't name another Lamborghini knew what Countach meant. It symbolized freedom, rebellion, and a kind of mechanical madness that made childhood posters come alive. In interviews, Lamborghini executives hinted that the LPI 804 was more than a limited edition. It was a test balloon. The hybrid system used here was the forerunner of the full hybrid setup later seen in the Revuelto. In other words, the LPI 804 wasn't just a nostalgia act, it was a prototype disguised as a tribute. Its purpose was dual: to honor the past and quietly test the tech that would power Lamborghini's future. The car's limited run of 112 units sold out instantly, with prices hovering around $2.6 million. Some collectors never even took delivery. They flipped their allocations before the first units arrived. Others drove them proudly, posting videos of V12 revs echoing through desert highways, as if to say, listen while you can. Because deep down, everyone knew this might be the last naturally aspirated Countach, or perhaps the last of its kind, period. Among rivals, reactions range from respect to envy. While some manufacturers leaned into full electrification, Lamborghini's hybrid approach struck a nerve. The LPI 804 showed that emotion could coexist with progress, that hybridization didn't have to mean sterilization. The engineering team proved that the Countach spirit could adapt, even thrive within constraints. And that, more than its rarity or price tag, made it matter. For all its controversy, the Countach LPI 804 became the ultimate statement piece, a sculpture in motion, built not for necessity, but for desire. It asked uncomfortable questions about what we value in machines. Should cars like this still exist when the planet faces crisis? Can emotional engineering justify its footprint? Lamborghini didn't answer those questions. It simply built a car that made you feel them. And that may be its most powerful contribution. Because behind every critique, every headline, every YouTube comment debating its legitimacy, one truth remained. People were talking about cars again with passion, not pragmatism. The Countach LPI 804 reminded us that beyond speed and status, cars can be symbols of emotion, of human indulgence, of dreaming out loud. As we move further into an era of quiet EVs and AI-assisted commutes, its roar feels like a farewell letter written in gasoline and carbon fiber. But the story isn't finished yet. The Countach name still carries a weight that will shape what comes next. The Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 stands today as both a museum piece and a milestone, a statement that refuses to fade into nostalgia. As Lamborghini transitioned deeper into hybridization and prepared for full electrification, this car became the emotional anchor holding the brand's DNA in place. The moment you mention the Countach LPI 804, you're invoking the idea of balance between homage and innovation, combustion and electricity, myth and modernity. And that balance wasn't accidental, it was the entire purpose. From the start, the company's engineers knew that reviving the Countach would test not just their technical skill, but their cultural understanding of what Lamborghini represents. The LPI 804 had to satisfy collectors who wanted authenticity and thrill new buyers who demanded innovation. Every decision, from retaining the naturally aspirated V12 to integrating a lightweight supercapacitor hybrid system, was designed to reconcile those opposing desires. The LPI system differs from conventional hybrids. Instead of storing energy in a heavy battery, it uses a supercapacitor that charges and discharges almost instantly, offering electric assistance without dulling the V12's response. That technology, developed for the Sion and refined here, gave Lamborghini a bridge, a way to explore electrification without surrendering character. On paper, the gains seem minor: 34 extra horsepower, smoother shifts, slightly better acceleration. But behind the wheel, it transforms the rhythm of the car. The Countach LPI 804 surges forward with an immediacy that feels organic, almost mechanical in its intensity, as if the hybrid system were amplifying emotion rather than replacing it. That's the genius of the car. It's not chasing efficiency, it's chasing sensation. In that pursuit, it became a blueprint for the brand's next era. When the Revuelto arrived later with its tri-motor plug-in hybrid setup, you could trace its lineage straight back to the LPI 804. This car was the transitional artifact, the bridge that allowed Lamborghini to evolve without losing credibility among purists. Yet its legacy isn't purely technical. The Countach LPI 804 reignited cultural fascination with design. For years, supercars had become smoother, friendlier, more wind tunnel driven. The LPI 804 reintroduced the wedge as an aesthetic statement. Its crisp angles and long, unbroken lines reminded the world that emotion can be aerodynamic too. Designers across the industry took note. Even other manufacturers began re-examining their own heritage cues. The Countach didn't just influence enthusiasts, it influenced design studios from Italy to California. But perhaps the most profound aspect of the Countach LPI 804's legacy lies in what it represents to those who never owned one. It's a totem of imagination. For decades, the original Countach lived on bedroom posters. This one lives on phone wallpapers, in virtual garages, in racing games, and digital collectibles. Lamborghini understood that its customers now exist in both physical and virtual worlds. The Countach LPI 804 wasn't merely built, it was rendered, streamed, and immortalized online. That's where the Countach's true immortality lies, not in garages, but in pixels, where the next generation discovers it. And yet, for those lucky enough to drive one, it delivers something few machines can, a sense of contradiction that feels deeply human. It's brutally fast but emotionally rich, technologically advanced yet defiantly analog in spirit. You can feel the tension in every throttle press, every gear change. It's not perfect, and that's exactly why it's perfect. Perfection was never the Countach's purpose. Provocation was. The Countach LPI 804 invites us to question what progress really means. Must every improvement make a car quieter, cleaner, or easier? Or can progress also mean preserving the irrational joy that made us fall in love with machines in the first place? This car argues for the latter. It stands as a counterpoint to sterility, a reminder that engineering can still serve emotion. Even in its exclusivity, it carries meaning. The 112 units symbolize both scarcity and significance. They anchor the brand's narrative, connecting the original LP400 to the hybrid age. Each chassis tells the same story differently. Depending on who owns it, some tucked away in collections, others roaring down alpine roads, echoing the ghost of the 1970s. Decades from now, when fully electric hypercars dominate the landscape, the Countach LPI 804 will be remembered as the moment Lamborghini refused to surrender its theatrical soul. It didn't apologize for its excess. It justified it through beauty, sound, and emotion. It became a bridge not only between technologies but between generations, uniting those who grew up idolizing the original and those who might never hear a V12 again. The Countach LPI 804 proves that legacy isn't about replication. It's about reinterpretation. The name endures because the idea behind it endures, the belief that cars can still move us beyond reason. In an industry increasingly defined by logic, that irrational spark may be the most innovative feature of all. And that's the enduring magic of the Lamborghini Countach LPI 804. It doesn't just remind us where we've been, it shows us how passion can survive progress. The Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 closes its story not as a sequel, but as a punctuation mark, a bold exclamation in an era of quiet transitions. For American enthusiasts, it represents something rare, the last of the wild, unfiltered V12s you can still register, still drive, still hear echo against canyon walls. Import restrictions don't apply because the LPI 804 was officially sold here, but accessibility was never the point. With only 112 examples worldwide and only a fraction reaching US shores, ownership was an invitation into a very exclusive conversation about what the future of passion looks like. On the collector market, the Countach LPI 804 has already cemented its value. Even before deliveries began, allocations were trading for millions above list, and now prices hover in the stratosphere, over $4 million in some cases, depending on color and provenance. But value isn't just monetary. The car represents the final breath of Lamborghini's purest mechanical heartbeat before the company's full hybrid and electric evolution. For anyone who drives one, reliability isn't about daily usability. It's about emotional endurance. The LPI 804 isn't fragile, but it demands care. Routine fluid checks, warm-up rituals, specialized tires. It's a car that expects participation, not passive admiration. And that's exactly why it matters. In a landscape where supercars increasingly promise convenience, this one still asks for commitment. To own a Countach LPI 804 is to accept imperfection as part of perfection. It's loud, temperamental, hard to park, and gloriously impractical, and yet, that's the essence of its charm. You don't buy it because it's sensible. You buy it because it makes you feel something no efficient EV ever could. For those chasing future ownership, the path is narrow but not closed. Lamborghini's modern certification and restoration programs will likely keep these cars alive for decades. As hybrids and EVs dominate, this will become a historical benchmark. The last echo of naturally aspirated Lamborghini drama paired with emerging technology. For US enthusiasts watching from afar, the Countach LPI 804 is both a farewell and a challenge. It asks whether we still have room in our world for excess that's built not from necessity, but from emotion. Its legacy teaches that innovation doesn't have to erase identity, that we can build forward without forgetting the sound of wonder. The Countach LPI 804 isn't just a car. It's a reminder that passion, even when reborn in a new form, can still burn just as brightly. And that's the story we carry forward, because long after the last V12 cools and the roads fall silent, we'll still remember the shape, the roar, and the name that redefined what it meant to dream in motion.